Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I wanted to talk to you about money, and more specifically, I wanted to compare my one of my last paychecks as an ER tech to one of my first paychecks as a registered nurse, new grad edition. So for those of you who don't know, I'm currently working as a new grad registered nurse in Houston, Texas, and before that, I worked in the ER as an emergency room technician. So I basically helped out the registered nurses with patient care, IV starts, EKGs, transporting patients around the hospital, and things like that. So basically the biggest difference is obviously my degree, and then also the responsibility I have towards patient care. I'm more dedicated to medication administration and things like that, versus as a tech, I really was just like popping in and out of rooms, doing certain skills that were in my scope of practice, and then moving on. So, and I wrote them down because, you know, I wanted real numbers and I want to be realistic with you guys. So I'm going to start with my tech pay. One of my last checks as a tech in the ER was $904.18, and this was after taxes, after medical, after dental, after vision. After all of that was taken out, it was $904.18, and this was for a 2-week period. I get paid every 2 weeks, and and for me, the taxes and medical and all that kind of stuff usually comes to around $300 per paycheck. So usually it's around $300 that's taken out before I get this final number here. Whatever, it is what it is. So fast forward to now working as a new grad registered nurse. One of my first paychecks as a new grad registered nurse was $1,788.41, and this was once again after medical, dental, vision, and taxes. After all of that stuff came out, that is what I was left with. So I will say for this paycheck, it was one of the first ones, and because of COVID, they're not doing like your regular orientation where you have your 40 hours a week and all of that kind of stuff. It was actually less than 70 hours for the 2 weeks, for the total 2-week period. It was less than 70 hours, and I still made $1,788. So I'm not upset. It was just to kind of give you an idea that this was not the actual check, but this was pretty close. It was less than 70 hours, and full-time for me as a registered nurse is still the same as before as an ER tech, 36 hours a week or 72 hours per pay period. So some things to keep in mind, especially for those of you who know, in the hospital it's very easy to get overtime, to work an extra shift, and literally make way more than that. So I will say that even as a tech, the number that I gave you, like I said, was very indicative of a regular shift, a regular week, a regular 2-week period. But obviously there were many times when I worked an extra shift and got a lot more money than that. But I wanted to be reasonable and realistic with the numbers that I give you, because I want you to know what you're going into if you don't want to work overtime. And I'm also not an overtime worker. Like, it's there, the opportunity is there, but I will take it if I need it. But for me, money is not the most important thing. So I keep that in mind, that what is the base? Like, if I don't do any overtime, what am I going to make? And that's what I look at, because for me personally, I don't care about overtime. But it's there, and I want you guys to know that and remember that. Another thing to remember, especially for new grad nurse residency, in the nurse residency programs, is that a lot of times what you start at is not what you will end up at after a year. So usually, like at my hospital, my first 3 months are orientation, I have my base pay, and then after 3 months, I get a pay increase. And I also graduate to a registered nurse 1. And then after a year, I graduate to a registered nurse 2, and I get another substantial pay raise. So what I'm making now is not what I'll be making in another month. I think I'm almost off of orientation. That's crazy. And then what I'm making then will not be what I make in a year. So just to keep that in mind. So as a new grad nurse resident, you can expect to be making anywhere from $30 to $35 an hour. Just off the start. I will say there are places that start you off with less, and there are places that will start you off with more. But 30 to 35 is about your even kilter. So expect something like that. I work with a lot of techs and people who were either contemplating going back to nursing school or who are already in nursing school. And for you guys, I would say it is so worth it to just keep going. I literally doubled my paycheck. So that should tell you in and of itself that it is possible to literally do what you set your mind to. It is very worth it to have your nursing degree or any degree that you're going for right now. And just know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Bye, guys.